This is something that I was actually only just made aware of, even though this article is dated from November the 16th, but it's something crucially important and it's definitely worth going over. House of Lords Committee probes online UK freedom of speech. The House of Lords Committee and Digital Committee has launched a new inquiry which will examine whether or not freedom of expression is under threat online. It is. And if so, how modern technology might be used to help protect it. The inquiry will also weigh that against how such freedoms should be balanced with other rights. Well, that's very easy. Basically, if there are things that are recognised and codified rights, if the speech doesn't violate any of those rights, then the speech should be allowed. For example, not being offended is not a right. It's not a codified right. It's not a recognised right. It's not actually in any list of rights. So speech that offends should absolutely 100% be allowed. If you don't like the offensive speech, well, you're not being pinned down like Clockwork Orange with your eyes held open or anything like that. The channel changes in front of you. Just push the button. Just push the button. That little X in the top corner of the window, that little thing right there, just click it. Just click it. Yeah, there you go. Lately, a lot of the talk in the news and political circles has tended to centre on how the government and Ofcom could clamp down on harmful online content. For example, hate speech, bullying, terrorism, conspiracy theories, etc., all of which, apart from the terrorism part, are protected freedom of speech. Terrorism does involve the violation of very many human rights, you may have heard, such as imposing new rules or restrictions via internet content, websites and social media, etc., or access providers, broadband and mobile through the much delayed online harms bill. Read up on that bill. It is trash. It is a authoritarian's wet dream, that bill. It's honestly absolute garbage. It just basically it's almost the same legislation that China has. The government has been keen to stress that they want to keep people safe online, especially children, and that any changes must be made in a proportionate way, ensuring that freedom of expression is upheld and promoted online, and that the value of a free and independent press is preserved. In reality, achieving such balance is incredibly difficult. Now, that's one thing, is see what your children do online. That is the duty of the parents. That is the duty of the parents to watch what your children are doing online. My mum and dad actually do foster care, and I'm the guy that goes in and checks and sees what websites are you looking at, who are you talking to, and or if I see them talking to a friend online, I'm like, oh, who's that? How old's he? You know, that's, I take a keen interest. My nieces as well. I even though like I'm not their dad, still as an adult, it is my duty and responsibility to protect them and make sure that they're not talking to a predator. That's the duty of the parents. Like, see how you can get computer setups and everything, or like TVs and phones with things like child locks on them that completely lock them out of, very, very many websites. Absolutely all up for that. And then when the kid turns, like 13 or 16 or 18, you relax the controls and everything. Although when they turn 18, they're legally an adult, so no, you can't put controls on it. They're an adult now. There you go. You've done your job. Off they go. But yeah, that's an important point. It is everyone's duty to make sure that children, when they are online, are not, they're not talking to predators and they're safe. That's the duty of the parents. Was the duty of anyone, really. Trying to police the natural public expression of negative human thought and balancing that against free speech remains fraught with extreme difficulty. Well, if it's too difficult, then you shouldn't do it. Just protect the freedom of speech. That's fine. We have all the tools that we need in order to sculpt our online experience as we see fit. We have the block button. We can filter words. We can do so many things. We can build our entire, like, journalists with the learn to code. Do you know what you should have done, journalists? Go into Twitter, go into filter words, type in learn to code, press enter, boom. No more learn to code. You don't see it anymore. The tools were there for you to use, but instead you spent weeks complaining about it from your phone in the queue at the job centre. Particularly if it results in websites introducing automated filtering systems. Yeah, manually moderating all content on major platforms is impossible. Yeah, good. I'm happy they acknowledge that there aren't enough like people on Earth to manage all of the content, and it's going to be different opinions all over the board. It can't be done. So I understand why social media companies use algorithms to make it easier. The problem is the algorithms are crap, especially on YouTube, where, you know, for example, I had one that happened to me recently. Remember my old ISIS video where I pretended to be like a travel agency for the Islamic State? Yeah, that actually got taken down. I was given a strike, and I was also removed from the partner program, even though it was a blatant, complete joke. And I contacted YouTube creator support, and they just turned around and flat out said, no, you were endorsing terrorism. And I'm like, did you watch the video? Tell me what part where I was endorsing terrorism. But luckily I spoke to a friend of a friend of a friend of a friend who knew a guy at YouTube, and the guy at YouTube looked at it and went, yeah, that's nonsense, and put me back in the partner program and removed the strike. So yeah, the system that they currently have, I realise it's the only one that they can use, but Jesus Christ, make it better. Actually try and improve it somewhat. Meanwhile, a lot of social media today seems to become worryingly tolerant of hate speech and dangerous conspiracy theories. That's free speech. Under free speech, people are going to say things that you do not like. I mean, there's certain conspiracy theories that are fun and certain ones that obviously can create dangerous ideas. But what you're supposed to do is counter them with your own speech. Stop being lazy and getting other people to do it for you. Right? I mean, if you've got some big guy next to you that you use to solve all your problems, so you give him a club or you give him a gun and you let him deal with all your problems, what are you going to do? What's going to happen one day when one day you become a problem to him? It'll be too late by that point, because you don't have your gun anymore, he does. Which can do real harm. In some cases, politicians and celebrities have even helped to amplify such things, but once again, tackling this could be difficult without also impacting those who criticise the same topics, as well as satire, the right to cause offence, political speech, and so forth. Absolutely. Absolutely. Like, I'm enjoying the fact that this is actually considering both sides of the argument, because what you'll get from everyone, what you'll get from politicians and the blue ticks and everything on Twitter, is they'll just go, hate speech bad, end of discussion. Nope, end of discussion. Nope. I don't have to debate hate speech. Blocked, chud. Right? At least this article is actually considering both sides of the argument. It wants to consider both sides. Like, and I appreciate that. Lord Gilbert of Pantech, Lord Gilbert, chair of the committee, said, in recent years there have been a growing number of controversies relating to the use of the right to freedom of expression online. We hope to hear views from all sides of the debate on the roles that platforms and the state should play in protecting and curtailing what users can say online. How about just remove that curtailing part? If you could just remove that, that'd be smashing. The committee have thus launched a new call for evidence which invites written contributions to this inquiry by Friday the 15th. What day is it? Okay, we've got time. We've got just over a week. January 2021. Some of the questions being posed to the committee include: how should good digital censorship be promoted? Good digital censorship. That's funny. Like, you know, like fun cancer or something. Should online platforms be under a legal duty to protect freedom of expression? Absolutely they should. Why are companies not allowed to steal from you? Because it violates your rights. Why are companies not allowed to assault you? Because it violates your rights. So why are we allowing companies to violate our speech rights? To what extent should users be allowed anonymity online? Absolute, 100%. 100% absolute. Because there are people who are in extremely oppressive countries who rely on their online anonymity to use their freedom of speech and call out some of the horrendous things that has been done by the state in that country. Online anonymity, especially when it comes to whistleblowing, is absolutely essential. How can content moderation systems be improved? Fix the algorithm. Would strengthening competition regulation of dominant online platforms help to make them more responsive to users' views about content and moderation? Regulation. But The problem with that is the reason Twitter and YouTube and Facebook and everybody do what they do is there is no viable market competitor to them. Like I said, that South Park episode with Comcast. That's too bad. I guess you're gonna have to go to one of the other companies. Oh wait, we're the only. Yeah, like that shit. Like that's what it is. That's the reason that, because there isn't fierce enough competition against YouTube and Twitter, etc., they don't have to try and get better. It's it's like the communist thing. When the government controls everything and there's no companies or anything competing with each other, progress slows. They don't really need to listen to people because there's no other choice for people to just go and do instead. For example, see if there was a private company that would actually collect my bins, I would jump into it in a second. Unfortunately, the only people that are legally allowed to do that here is the council. So the council has to, and the council is, just don't get me started on the council, right? But the council also have no need whatsoever to try and give me a better service, because what am I going to do? Leave? I can't. You're not allowed to go to anyone else. They have the monopoly on it. So they have absolutely no need to give me a good service. And also, legally, I still have to pay my council tax. If I don't, I will get arrested. So I'm paying my council tax for a service I get maybe once a month when it's supposed to be every bloody week. But yeah, the fact that this conversation is happening, yes, that's fantastic. Yes, that is excellent. I want this conversation to happen more. I want it to continue. I don't like how should we balance it? But at least they're considering our side of the argument as well. Just no state control of freedom of speech, and private companies can do what they want, but they're not allowed to violate your rights. The what was it say? Your right to swing your fist ends at my nose. Well, your right to delete my tweet. In fact, no, you don't have a right to delete my tweet. Change is coming. I think change is coming. People are starting to realise that having an all-powerful government is an extremely bad thing, and that is good, and it should be encouraged. So, the House of Lords, well done. Well done.